everything's primed up and looking real nice, and you can see that these bed sides are really nice and straight. So you might be thinking to yourself, damn Dave, why don't we just paint them now? And we can. We could just jitterbug this down and shoot a paint on this if we're doing a nice decent daily driver. But if we're doing a slick black like we're planning on this, then it's not quite up to par yet. I'll fog this down and I'll start doing a block sand with some 150, and I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. Another quick note though, when it's like this, all nice and pretty and everything, it is sometimes easier to see little pits. Maybe you get the air bubbles in the filler, or maybe you missed a defect that's in there. So you go over everything, and while it's like this, so like here we've got a little air bubble pit right there, a couple little babies right there. So we'll go ahead and we'll fix all of these things first with just a little bit of Bondo, and it'll be easier to see this now before we fog it up and everything. So we've got like a little pit right here. So if we put the black fog coat on, sometimes that gets lost. So take care of all the defects that you can see when it's all nice and pretty like this. Then we'll go ahead and sand it down and fog it up, and then we'll see even more defects that we get to fix. So now I'll shoot these down with a fog coat, and the fog coat can plug up finer sandpaper, the 150 and 220. So I'll get a little bit of 320 scratch pad here, and I'll go over it once lightly, and it's a little bit less likely to plug up your sandpaper. So now I got a light block sand on this, and you can see that we still got some low spots even with all the prepping and everything that we did. And so if we were using a long 3-foot long block sander like this, and we sanded this down and we still had these in here, then they would show up in your gloss job. But if we're doing a nice decent daily driver, if I was to jitterbug this out, what'll happen is that this defect, it won't be as pronounced. It won't be just right here, large and charging in your face. The jitterbug will kind of just blend all of this stuff out. Now, if you get down and you look at it, you'll still be able to see it. It'll still go in a little bit more right here than it does the rest, but it won't be that easy to see because it'll be blended out in a long, even area. But if we're going to be doing gloss black, then we have to go through our extra steps here and sand all these things out. Now, when I'm sanding this, I'm going to be doing it just like I'm doing the rest of them. I'm not trying to sand all the way down. I'm only sanding until I see a shiner or a baby shine, any amount of shiner at all. Or if I'm sanding it and I get it nice and flat, then I'll just go ahead and stay. But this we're sanding also down nice and easy, nice and slow. If we start sanding all hard and aggressive, then what we might do is accidentally sand this too far. And then we'll come back with our 220 and our 320, and it'll be even further and further deep in. And now we got to shoot even more primer on and block sand it all off again. So nice and easy, nice and light, nice and fluffy. Here's what I'm looking for with the 150, just light shiners, or if it sands down nice and even, I stop. So now what I'll do is I'll get 220 and I'll sand this down, and we'll take it a little bit further than the 320 jitterbug and blah, blah, blah. So what you kind of want to think about is that this primer that we put on here this time, that's kind of the fog coat for your body work. So now you can see, you know, if your body work still has low spots or what have you that you're going to need to fix, or if everything looks fine like this does. So now I'm using the 220 longboard on this, and what we're doing this time is we're hitting our shiners a little bit harder now. Now we're taking it all the way down, and all I want to do is just barely get a little metal shiner there. Again, remember the black is our epoxy primer that we shot on there first. So this is our buffer zone, so to speak. So now we'll sand it down until we get like just a light metal shiner evenly across, and then we'll jitterbug down, and this will ensure that our primer is down far enough and we have enough of a coat of primer on here so that sometimes your Bondo can give you an anomaly. Like say for instance, if we were just to paint this right now, then sometimes where the metal is and where the black primer is and where the Bondo is and where the primer is, that will all look just a little bit different underneath the clear coat, whatever color you choose, especially if you go with metal flake or pearl. But we'll see you tomorrow. We'll keep on sanding. So maybe a little primer too.